Have a lot to talk about. War games, wargaming. Um, Going to jump right in, see what I can get to in this session. First of all, and probably the biggest thing for me, is I have made a decision that I'm going to change the format. I'm changing my format here. Um, in changing the format, I expect there to be a transition period where at least I am getting used to this change in format. But I think it will be better for me in the long run. Um, the change in format, which I'm about to talk about, does not change my original aim for these videos. So maybe I will back up a bit and talk about the original aim that again has not changed. Um, so I guess a little over 6 months ago now, I almost on a whim uh, decided I would try something, and that my thinking went like this. If I'm going to continue to enjoy this hobby, and when 90% of enjoying this hobby is basically solitaire experience, um, why couldn't I just record my enjoyment of the hobby? Um, and to be honest, it was one of those situations where it was where I had to think, why not? Why climb the mountain that's nearby because it's there? um, why not record these? Why not record my experiences with war games and wargaming, military history and military history reading, and so on and so forth? Um, if it's not that much trouble, basically. Um, it was very experimental. Just jumped in, and so the original videos. The idea I had, first of all, the idea I had was never to make videos as standalone um, uh, things worthy in and of themselves, i.e., I was never going to be editing, never going to be preparing text, never going to be music and cut scenes and all this other stuff. I knew I was not going to do that because I'm simply not interested in any of that stuff. I have enjoyed so many incredible uh, products produced by others. Some of them are just wow, really great, works of art. With I say works of art with all of the dialogue, lighting, cut scenes, uh, graphic artistry, and all that other stuff. I can be really impressed by that. But I also know all sorts of time. I also have an idea of all the time and effort that went into making even a single one of those, and that's not going to be me. So I knew I wasn't going to do that, and was not going to go down that road. There's another group of videos out there that are really entertaining. I mean, they're really entertaining. But I knew I'm not trying to entertain anybody. Just not my thing. I'm not trying to entertain anybody. So what was I trying to do? I was originally trying to do. I mean, it was never a Big Brother thing, okay? But I always thought, well, if there was a camera over my shoulder as I enjoy my hobby, if there was a camera over my shoulder, what would it look like? Um, Unedited, unrehearsed, unplanned, raw, um, documentary style. This is what it looks like. This is what wargaming looks. This is what historical and conflict gaming looks like. Um, uh, yeah, and I mean that is not going to be obvious to somebody who's coming to it for the very first time. And then, not to mention, within the hobby, there are all these different ways of approaching the hobby, all these different particular interests, all these different gaming styles and activities, um, within the hobby itself. So this is one person's approach, one person's way of doing things. Yeah, so the original aim was to capture in a raw kind of documentary style format my enjoyment of the hobby. And just as important, so that was one pillar, and I would say just as important was the other pillar. It really was central to me to show games being played, because um, I came into this hobby really full-time 5 years ago, not that long ago. Um, 5 years ago I was a novice, and today I'm a novice. But when I was starting out, it was hard to imagine what some of these games were supposed to, uh, what they entailed. Um, I It's not quite this simple, but basically early on I kind of accidentally bought some really complex war games. Hey, a great example. Very early on, I picked up Fields of Fire, the card game. I think it's Ben Hull, and I picked up that game somewhat by accident. And I mean, this was way back in the beginning. This was back when I foolishly insisted that I was never going to get, into wargaming in any like regular sense. Maybe one off, like play a couple war games a year for pure nostalgia's sake or something like that. But anyways, I got that game, took it home, and just opening the box and laying everything out, I was like, how in the heck does this work? First of all, just physically, how in the heck does this work? And then reading the rule book, which, by the way, I've talked about this before. I am a career Army officer. I completely appreciated, um, the military tones throughout. No doubt that's why I was gonna hold on to it. Okay, but the rules as a game, quote unquote game, um, it's like what? I can't even imagine how to even get started with this thing. But I held on to it because I was sure there was something there. I was sure that there was something there that I could eventually get into. Um, but that's what I mean. Just even great battles of history early on, which again for me is only 5 years ago. But great battles of history. I can remember quite easily, only 5 years ago, remember what what are all of these mechanics? How do they all go together? Um, uh, how is a game even played? Um, not how is a game played um, by each individual rule, but how do they all come together? And there was a guy who was making videos who I really should talk about him separately at some point. But there was an individual at the same time. This is all, I think, very, very fortuitous here. So at the same time as all this is happening, there was a guy making videos. Now he's not making any war game videos. His videos are all Euro games, adventure games, fantasy games. His videos are great. Um, but the point is that they're not war games. But he was doing really great, like kind of like let's play this game videos, um, where you felt like, I mean, I felt watching his videos, I feel like I'm sitting at his table and I'm getting a really, really great sense of how this game is played, what it looks like, how it flows, how it feels, everything. Um, And of course, I've never ever forgotten from that point on. I've always thought, from that point on, okay, I'm thinking, if this guy can do those videos for those games that I just don't imagine myself ever actually being interested in, even though I really liked his videos. The funny thing is that I've never forgotten his videos. I think his videos were great, are great, but he never actually convinced me to play any of those games. But I always thought, why can't somebody do something similar for war games? Because, and here's the kicker. I'm not sure if I've said this before, but I'm going to say it now again. I mean, I've said this in other formats. I'm not sure I ever said it on a video here. The games that he's making videos for are games that I'm convinced I wouldn't need videos for. I mean, if I liked the genres, I don't think I would need the videos, which is so ironic. He makes these great videos, and I think for me, again, I wouldn't need the videos for the games he's making videos for because they're not that complex. um, whereas you flip it around and you have war games. War games need these videos. I am convinced of that. These war games need these videos. Um, these war games need these types of videos. These are the types of games that if anybody starts with any type of interest, curiosity, or whatever, these are the games that you need. I'm trying to think of an example. Because in war games we have all sorts of pretty unique designs. Designs based on a lot of history, which if you don't have that history, you're kind of missing part of you're missing some assistance, I guess you could say. Yeah, bottom line is I find it ironic that the games out there, I'll take a game I know. Okay, I'll take, what's the game? Is it, um, gee, no, was it Elder Signs? I guess it's Elder Sign. Um, fun little game, by the way. Yes, I've played it. Fun little game. Here I will use a specific example. You have Elder Sign. You don't really need a video for that. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Two, the pieces are vibrant. They are nothing really cryptic or anything about them. I mean, to me, you lay out the game and it kind of plays itself almost. It almost plays itself, which is a quality of a lot of those games, by the way, which is a nice quality. But you lay out a complex war game, especially one that's off the beaten path, you may not be able to figure out top, bottom, left, right. So, anyways, I just think it's funny that the games that need videos or don't have videos, and the games that need videos don't have any videos, and then the games that don't need videos have a lot of videos. But anyways, I know that that's for other reasons. Those games have a lot of videos for other reasons, and perfectly valid reasons. Now, to reverse that idea, are there reasons why? I've wondered why some of our more complex war games don't have videos. Anyways, I'm not going to speculate on that right now. So the original aim was one, to just kind of record in documentary style my enjoyment of the hobby. That's one pillar. The other pillar was really to show some games to anybody who may need or even want the assistance of seeing how these war games actually play. And it really is an expansion on examples of play, right? War games today, I don't think we get nearly enough examples of play, okay? But it's better than, I was I was, scanning through some of my older games the other day, and wow, I picked up one rule set, and there's like essentially not a single example of play through the whole rule book. It is not a basic war game, not a beginner war game. And I was like, wow, back in times past, you may do, I guess you had no expectation of getting any examples of play. But anyways, so this was the idea of, we all know how valuable examples of play can be. So with the power of video, let's put them together, and once again, this is really all about, if you know OCS, Operational Combat Series, you know it, you're out there evangelizing about it, make videos about it. You're exactly the right person to show people that game in action being played, show it being played. Now, that's not really a good example, because actually OCS actually comparatively has a lot of videos out there comparatively. So I guess that wasn't a good example, but we have some big series out there. Well, it's changing. Okay, it's changing. They're getting out there, right? But Assault series, GDW's Assault. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've seen a single video showing that game being played. And by the way, that I intend to get Assault. So when I say I intend to get Assault out on the table, that has now come to mean the same thing as I intend to get it on video, because I should interject here now that I am videotaping now almost all of my solitary enjoyment of the hobby. So what you see recorded is my free time. For the most part, I'm not doing much anymore that's not being recorded, which is what I want. I mean, I kind of want it to be to the point where I don't have a lot of free time. I do not have a lot of free time, but okay, so I don't have a lot of free time. Most of my free time is spent wargaming now, and most of my time wargaming is spent being videoed. So there isn't much beyond uh, what I'm recording. And that kind of goes to the format change that I am getting to. So that does kind of get to the format change. So Assault series, here is an example of a game. I mean, in all that I have read about Assault series, I have not read that it is clearly in any particular like tradition. Except, okay, it's a Frank Chadwick design. I mean, even comparisons to First Battle series, I don't think those comparisons are going to be useful at all. Obviously, I know that First Battle series, I have not played any Assault yet, but I will. Um, so essentially, when I break out Assault, when I start to play it slowly, step through it, hesitant step after hesitant step, um, I have nothing to go on. I have not. Okay, I've seen it. Actually, I haven't even seen that many pictures of Assault laid out for such. And I'm emphasizing Assault because Assault was somewhat of a landmark design. It's a landmark design. It it got rave reviews. It still gets rave reviews. I think that it's highly regarded, but probably rarely played. And there really is no. I should say that underlying everything that I'm doing here, which is really just to say underlying my enjoyment of the hobby, there are some game systems out there that were already well regarded that really aren't being played a lot for whatever reason. There really is no reason. There is no hard and fast reason for that. There is no hard and fast reason for that. I did a video on that old War Games research group rules. I say old because the original is early 70s. Um, my edition was newer, of course, but not that new. Was it 1988? I think. So I had a 1988 rewrite of what was still essentially a early 1970s miniatures rule set. I did a video on that. You know, I know when I did the video, I was impressed with what I saw. Which, by the way, I mean, when I made the video, it looked like I had opened that rule set for the first time because that's exactly what I had done. I did no prep for that, which is kind of the point. That was kind of the point of the video. I pulled it off the shelf and I cracked it for the first time. I think I think it's pretty clear I was impressed with it at that time. I mean, I've only thought more and more about that rule set since then, and I think there are some. I don't want to go too far on this right now. Uh, yeah, I don't want to go too far. But there is just because that's I guess I'll say just because that's an early 1970s rule set, in no way means that it should be just relegated to the War Games Museum and not played. Um, to say to say nothing of updating that to a modern format, to say nothing of that, I think that old rule set could be played and bring a lot of enjoyment. Anyways, I'll get back to that. I think at some point, in one way, shape, or another. Um, so I might have missed a few things that I started in the first 20 minutes here, but I'll get to the format changes. I'm going looser format. I have to go looser format. It's kind of what I'm doing now. I find myself wasting too much time trying to package my videos. I don't want to do that anymore. Um, you know the oh and part of the new part of the new looser format means that I'm not going to be categorizing my videos anymore. I will not be categorizing my videos anymore. Um, so the see it played videos, they will continue, and the see it played videos will probably be the most unified in content, I guess. But I'm not going to be limiting myself to a more narrow format anymore. So I'm going to a looser format. I'm, you know, going to be talking freer, pulling in things more freely. I'm going to be, I'm going to be mixing in, looking at games for the first time. So I'm going to be mixing up the off the shelf videos, mixing those up with the military reading, with, some rules discussion. It's going to be more free flowing because the format is going to, when I say looser format, the format of the videos is going to match more the free flowing nature of my gaming sessions. And by gaming, I mean wargaming sessions in general, not even just play. So with that in mind, most of my videos tend to be around an hour. That was never planned. That was really never planned. I was just kind of going and finding a natural, I don't know, a natural timing for the videos. And what I find by experience is right at about an hour, if I'm really into it. If I'm really into it, at about an hour, I see myself for the first time looking up and looking at the timer and deciding whether I should start wrapping up or not. Again, that is a natural timing thing, never planned. So I'll probably just continue with that. I'm just going my natural, going with a natural internal sense of timing. Um, but the point is, when uh, again, with my free time, I tend to get roughly hour blocks. And I'm getting to the point where what you see videoed is a large chunk of my free time devoted to wargaming. So if I have an hour block and I'm going to sit down in the wargame room, it's always recorded in the wargame room here. Everything's recorded in the wargame room here. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to relax and enjoy this hobby, and I'm going to record it, and it's probably going to be about an hour, because probably at about an hour is when I'm going to be deciding, do I need to go get a second cup of coffee or whatever, or do I have something else I have to do? Um, and that's that. They will go longer if I'm kind of wrapped up into something, and they will go shorter if I kind of wrap up what it is that I wanted to, to record. So looser format. I'm going to be moving around, but the moving around, while it's not going to be, while it's not going to be, tight content. I got that. Um, Again, it's going to reflect better the intermingling of just browsing rules, because my time spent enjoying the hobby solitaire in the gaming room is a mixture of skimming rules, looking at scenarios, breaking out maps, reading something, uh, practicing some rules. I should be doing that more. I mean, practicing rules in the sense of not trying to play a scenario, but actually, I need to do this more. I need to use the technique, um, which I think was actually spelled out in the CWB series rules the other day that I saw. But actually lay out the map, pull out some counters, practice the different rules mechanics with a number of counters on the map. Um, yeah. Um, um, okay. I've, I've talked pretty much here about talked from the perspective of the solitaire part. I feel like I put in like 98% solitaire effort to get some incredibly fabulous 2% of 2% face-to-face gaming experience. All of my face-to-face gaming experiences is wonderfully rewarding. It's a totally different, obviously, as you can imagine, a totally different ball game. Brings all sorts of rewards. It's just very different than the solitaire part. Um, so obviously, I reference the face-to-face, but I don't really mix the two. I don't want to mix the two that much. To me, they're really separate. I'm recording the solitaire experience. I'm not really bringing in a lot of the face-to-face gaming that I get from time to time. Again, I'm talking about. I feel like 98% solitaire effort put in to help me enjoy 2% face-to-face gaming experience. Um, and what really drives probably the number one motivation behind the solitaire time spent in this hobby is learning rules, practicing rules. I always have in the back of my mind, I'm going to put in time playing and learning videos, or learning and playing games, solitaire, and videotaping those. But I choose games that I fully intend to play face to face at some point. I don't. I don't yet. I don't think yet I've even considered learning and practicing and trying to get a little better at a game that I didn't intend to, at least hopefully someday, play face to face with somebody. So I love playing ATS solitaire. Hopefully, I mean, I look forward to a day when I can play ATS face to face against somebody. I want to jump into the CWB, the Civil War Brigade series by the Gamers. So I want to jump into this series, make some more progress. I guess I dipped my toe in it. Okay, I want to get going, experience the CWB more. And again, that's with an eye to hopefully I can add to. See, to me it's adding to the enjoyment of the game when I get to the face-to-face play part. Um, yeah. Um, I think I'm gonna wrap this up for this morning. The big thing here was format change. Um, I still consider the aim is still the same. It's still basically a documentary of one person's enjoyment of the hobby of conflict and historical gaming. Um, but the videos are going to be a loose format, including multiple or one or more different um, segments, I guess you could say, and they're not going to be clearly delineated. I need to figure out how I'm going to clearly, transition from one segment to another without spending time editing, which I'm just not going to do. But I will. I'll think about that. So I think that's enough for now.